Okay, thank you, Joe.
Better knowing now
I
that.
thought I had clicked the meeting, so I thought I clicked it.
Not going to be the first time or the last time that happens.
You can just X out of that whole browser.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, we are now live. So that would be the opportunity would be to do that. The difference would be this year with the proposed plan of having a regional crop and soils educator and a regional dairy educator. This year's cost to the county was $43,600. The cost of a full-time educator right now, there's the wage increases. It's a package of close to $150,000 investment when you do salary and fringe benefits between the 130 and 150 range. But that is an option that can be part of a conversation.
Out of the 72 counties, how many are no longer participating in this program?
So of the regional, I'm not aware of all of them. The other of the 72 is that there are some of the counties in the northern part of the state that historically for decades have not had agriculture educators because the agriculture industry isn't as strong, but they may choose to invest in, say, natural resources or forestry or other areas. So I don't have, I guess I'm most aware of the northeast part of Wisconsin because Amy, there's one.
It's not close. Sorry. We just put it on.
So I guess I don't have that exact information of where we're at. We're continually trying to find partners to match up. Winnebago County would have been a logical geographic partner and also an ag partner. They have a vacancy. We're planning to still go ahead with that vacancy, but now we need to look at how the best regional fits are with the counties in the area to best meet the needs of their producers. Other questions or concerns? Okay. So also moving on, another item that occurred is at the January Public Property Committee meeting. There was a motion that was made and passed to relocate finance from the basement to the first floor. At this time, Penny and I were invited to a work group with some other individuals, including Ron, as part of that potential. So at this point in time, due to, as stated, due to the urgent need of to relocate finance to the first floor, this move will be done before the space needs study will be conducted. Our office has a strong preference to not move and to maintain in our location. However, if there was a space needs study and identified a better location for all of the departments, that would be our second preference. At this point, the only space that is available that could keep us co-located together as a department without splitting up would be the space currently occupied by finance. So we are in the process of working with Ron Hansen and also the finance department to be able to do a walkthrough, to do a needs assessment to determine how that space might can or potentially will meet our needs. Ultimately, Penny and I have another meeting with the group scheduled. I can look at my calendar and give you a better date. I want to think it's the February 23rd. I
believe it's the 24th.
Okay, so to again work through that. By that time, our team would have the opportunity to be able to view the space. Ultimately, the plan would need to be reviewed and approved by public property. There is not a space available that is currently move-in ready for our staff without splitting us up into multiple spaces throughout the entire courthouse. So there would be a We don't have any estimates yet as far as any of the remodeling or any, the expenses that would go into to fit out those office spaces in the basement to make them, can make them work for our needs. Conducive, that was the word I was looking for. So, so that is something that is also has come up in the most recent span of time.
I've only been down with the finance committee once, and I guess I don't realize the size of the square footage they have there. Is there that much of a difference from your department to theirs?
So the reason, or part of the reason why our space was identified for finance is because in the original needs, space needs from 2017, our office suite was identified for both finance and HR to move into our office location. And then we would move into the new space that was going to be added on to the front that would house extension and veteran services. That would be a front access. That is still, so as that was identified, that was where our space has been discussed because it was identified in that space needs study. The only difference is that the addition is not currently as part of that process. So then there would need to be relocated. We would need to be relocated into a different space. And our preference, our strong preference, is that we do want and need to be co-located together, so that because we do have a number of collaborative projects, and that would really increase efficiency to have some space for those programs that we do have state support, regional specialists or regional people to be able to come in and work with our staff. The other option way down the road and way down on the list is that if there's not a space within the courthouse, it would be looking at a space outside the courthouse that would meet our needs. I don't think that would benefit the extension nor the county, but it is, I guess, way down on the list. No one on our team is a commercial real estate or business real estate expert, so we would have to engage the help of knowledgeable individuals to help us locate that space outside. So that'd be a lot of work for everyone. It would also be a large expense. So. Any other questions or comments? All right, if you have them, you can always direct them my way. Be happy to answer them for you. There is, may want to keep a look on the agenda for those that want to follow, and there is a chance that so we don't have a necessarily, at least I don't think we have a plan or really a lot of an update for the Public Property Committee. And the agenda was pretty light, so they may consider not having the February Public Property meeting, and they may meet again in March. But I'm not, that one, we'll have to double check the agenda packet when it comes out this week for next Friday. So the only other last item, I just wanted to just give you an update. There's a couple of transitions at state level leadership or like high level administration leadership with the affected UW. And I'm totally blanking on the name right now, but the University of Wisconsin system named a new university president last week. So that individual will start the role fairly soon. And I apologize for totally blanking on the name. I had it earlier this morning. That individual is the one who ultimately submit the UW system budget proposal, which affects which impacts the UW system and University of Wisconsin-Madison, and at some point Division of Extension. The last budget proposal that was submitted did help create some new statewide positions in the agriculture and natural resources area that will be help utilize to help get the research out, the outreach specialist information out. So that is something that just is an FYI. The The other note is if, and I don't know if I should share this, Chancellor Rebecca Blank, where she's the Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She had announced she will, in May, she will be becoming the president of Northwestern University, leaving a vacancy. Chancellor Blank, one of the things that was significant about Chancellor Blank is both of her parents were extension agents in Minnesota. So she had a strong, deep understanding for extension, and she has been a champion for our division to be part of UW-Madison. A successor is going to be named in May, starting sometime late summer, early fall, before the fall semester. So that does have a potential to trickle down impact us, but it probably won't for the near future change our day-to-day operations. But that is just something that I will, I'll keep you updated, or at least give you an update of the announcement of who our new chancellor is for the University of Wisconsin. So I think they just opened the application process. So they haven't even gotten to the point where they're identifying candidates or there's finalists named or interviews or things like that. So it's a very thorough process. The search and screen committee has been hosting listening sessions to find out what all key partners, employees and faculty would look for or want to see qualities in a chancellor to help them as they start doing that search and screen process. So that's just an update. In the grand scheme of things, the folks in this room, there's very little we can do to affect the process. However, we could be fairly significantly impacted depending on positively or at least neutrally impacted by some of the choices of the new leadership. So those are the items that I have for my administrative report that I wanted to bring to your attention. So happy to answer any questions or any follow-up whenever you might have it.
Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure. Am I going back up to 6 or 7? on the agenda?
7.
7, that's what I got. Okay. Christy and Haley, do you want to start off?
Sure.
Yeah. I didn't even have to-
Good morning. Thank you all for having us this morning. Actually, Haley, would you mind keeping one that we're sharing too? Thank you. Haley's going to pass out some year-end reports for us. In the Blue Guys program, we have been really, really busy. It's been a really refreshing change from 2020 when we transitioned to primarily virtually and became very flexible and adaptable in the delivery of our education and outreach. So she's passing out 2 different year-end reports. This one is our food-wise specific year-end report for 2021, and then the other is a coalition year-end report that we'll go over both of them. 2021 saw a lot of themes of being able to get back into in-person delivery, but also following or delivering virtual education, not because necessarily we had to, because there is a place for it, but there's some really nice opportunities for virtual education as well, and we've become really efficient at it. So we just have a few bullet points kind of indicating some of the education that we delivered. There was some in-person education at elementary schools in Clintonville and in New London, also virtual education when we couldn't get into the schools. So it no longer was really holding us back from being able to get into the schools or deliver education because we had that option to hop online and reach the kiddos that way. We also established an virtual parent educational opportunity. We've been reaching parents once a month, parents of WIC, of Head Start, and the virtual education has been nice because some of these programs like WIC in public health, they're still not bringing families regularly into the courthouse. So they, we used to go upstairs, we would set up a table, we would talk face-to-face with our families, we would promote our educational outreach, our grocery store tours, we build that face-to-face relationship, and a trusting relationship is so important to get families to sign up for our classes. We no longer have that opportunity. So we've had to get really, really smart about the way that we create our opportunities for families and for recruitment. So I'm just gonna actually jump to one of the things that Haley also passed out are these little cards. So we created a Facebook page as an opportunity to create engagement with our families. We know a lot of individuals have social media accounts. And so our food wise team throughout our 4 counties has a Facebook page that we share recipes and tips on how to store and preserve food, videos of recipe demonstrations that we've created that some of our other national partners share as well. So it's really a lot of opportunities to share things that are already created for us. So anyway, we have utilized that opportunity to reach out to our families, but we've also had to build on our relationships with our partners. So we now strongly depend on our WIC colleagues, our Health Head Start staff to recruit families for us. So this, just jumping back to this quick, there's a little QR code that if you hold your phone up to it, that hold your phone camera up to this little code, square QR code on the bottom, it pulls up our Facebook page right away. So they don't have to go searching for it. So if you have Facebook, all you have to do is scan that and it takes you right to our page, and then they can reach out to us as well to sign up for classes or find the resources that we're sharing. So our partners have these as well, and they hand them out to their families or they mail them out for us, which is really nice. But we have, like I said, we've had to get really creative with how we're reaching our families. So we've also developed a new relationship with WIC, which is kind of ongoing into this current year, but we've really had to rethink the way that we are delivering our education. We spent a significant amount of time, and maybe I'll let Haley speak to that, promoting EBT at the farmers market. Something that we'll touch on in the year-end report for the coalition that we're a part of is getting EBT at the farmers market, which is being able to spend your food share, or formerly known as food stamps, at the farmers market to procure fresh local produce and baked goods.
Yeah, like Chrissy said, this was something that I was able to do in person. So at the Waupaca area food pantry here in town, and also the Wymont food pantry in Waupaca, I was promoting the use of EBT at the farmers market, in addition to handing out recipes and different resources that individuals utilizing the food pantry could use. I do have a really amazing success story about that in-person interaction, talking about the EBT at the farmers market. There was a couple that drove through and
So she's
I
physically standing outside.
Yes,
because
okay.
the food pantry
I'll
doesn't
set up
bring
like
people
a
in.
picture of what this looks like. So they're doing a drive-by service right now. So the individuals come, they say how many are in the family, and they meet at the back of the building and their car is loaded. So I'm at the back of the building where their car is being loaded, and I have the time to talk to them one-on-one. And during that time, I'll have a sheet and I'll, talk to them about, did you know that they accept EBT at the farmer's market? Do you utilize EBT? So this couple in particular did, and they loved the farmer's market, and they were unaware that this service was available. So they were really excited to get down there. Fast forward to a few months later, and I saw them again, and she's like, we've been going every Saturday and using our dollars at the farmer's market. And I found out on the back end, they were spending roughly between $60 and $80 at the farmer's market, and buying in bulk, freezing it, storing it for that future in the week or later in the week. And long story short, she's like, we've been going there so much, and I've been eating so much fresh produce that I was able to get off one of the medications that I've been on for years. And to me, I was just like, I instantly got emotional in front of her and was vulnerable. And I was like, I am so thrilled to hear this story, and that you were able to share this with me, and that, your health is improving because the access to produce. It was just an incredible experience. And that's just one in particular that I was able to share with individual or family. But the importance of this just is really proof in the pudding in that one example, that this access is there. and that they were utilizing it. So just the knowledge of knowing that that service was available.
And the face-to-face interaction is really important, you know, so that's an
Huge.
example of how Haley has adapted her outreach. She used to go into the food pantry where the clients walked in and she was able to talk with them in the pantry. Now she's bearing the elements like the food pantry staff are, standing outside, talking to the individuals as they're, you know, sitting in their car, and that trusting relationship is huge. If she didn't take the time to share with them that they could go spend their food share dollars at the farmer's market instead of spending them maybe at the convenience store, at Quick Trip, at the, you know, you can use your food share dollars a lot of places. It's just the knowledge of where, and the ease, you know, it could be scary to go somewhere new that you've never been. You know, any of us could go somewhere new for the first time. It may be a little intimidating. You don't know where to park. You don't know how to pay or what to do. So Haley walks through them step by step, what it's like at the food pantry. And in fact, our team has put together a really beautiful video to help show that as well. So, you know, the time put into some of these projects really has paid off.
Yeah.
We have also spent a lot of time, I'll just quickly highlight the back has two kind of similar stories that Haley just shared, more detail. But I'm gonna transition over to the other because the stories indicate some projects that come out of the Living Waupaca Way Coalition. So a large part of our time also is, so I like to divide up our outreach and our time. If you think about food wise, we deliver direct education, whether that's virtually or in person. So that's nutrition education, how to create healthy choices, make healthy choices, easy choices, and create behavior change that impacts our physical and emotional overall well-being. The other component of our work is policy, systems, and environmental change work. So creating systems changes, policy changes, environmental changes that overall impact the health and well-being of our communities, of our counties, of our state. You know, not just the individual change, but a larger change. So every single project in this stapled packet is projects that have come out of the Living Waupaca Way Coalition that I'm the facilitator and Haley is our social media manager of the coalition. And we meet here in this room once a month. So we have a monthly coalition meeting, and then we helped establish two subcommittees, two new subcommittees over the last year in 2021, which is really, really exciting. This project or this coalition has been in existence before I even started my role, and I've been in my role 8 years. And you know, just like any group, you kind of see ebb and flow, how you have a lot of membership and then membership falls off, people retire, people resign. Your job doesn't allow you to participate in a project like this. But Haley and I are very fortunate that part of our responsibility as food wise nutrition educators is to participate in projects like this. So we can spend our time facilitating these groups and bringing people together. So first of all, I'm just really proud that we've actually been able to bear through the virtual transition and the last 2 years of the pandemic and still come out strong and have 3 pages worth of information to show for it. The largest project that is part of the Living Waupaca Way Coalition is the Farmers Market. That is a project that we have written grants for and funded a farm market manager to get EBT at the market, which has happened. Now it's a huge project that we're hoping to create sustainability for and turn it over to another group of organizations so the coalition can take a step back and focus our energies on something else, because naturally that's kind of the way that this work happens. So we have meetings to meet with the city administrator, Erin Jensen, to hopefully move the farmers market manager position over to the city and have that be a city managed position instead of the coalition funding it through grants. As you can see or read, I would really encourage you to read those detailed bullets underneath. The farmers market brought in or overall gross almost $100,000 this past summer, which is just incredible. 3 years ago, we were nearing about $34,000. So the market has just blown up. And that is largely to do with the fact that we brought in a farm market manager, but also like Haley said, we're also bringing more customers to the farmer's market because we're promoting the use of food share at the farmer's market, whereas they could go to the grocery store and spend their money there, but instead we're getting people to go to the farmer's market and spend their money on local produce supporting local businesses, which just is really incredible.
In addition to the promotion, we've, put up flyers and different informational sheets around town and also sent it out to multiple partners across the county. So it's not just here in Wompacca that we're advertising the farmer's market.
Yeah, thank you. Something that we also didn't mention that we've helped to fund, the coalition has helped to fund and Foodwise helps promote is anyone who participates in the food share program, if they come and spend at least $10 of food share dollars at the farmer's market matches up to $10. So the family that Haley was saying was spending $50 to $60. They were actually getting 10 free dollars every single time they were coming. Every Saturday we offer that. So we have a lot. If you flip to the second page, you'll see all of our sponsors and partners. There's a lot of hands in the coalition and a lot of hands in the farmer's market, especially. So it's a project that we're really, really proud of and excited to, like I said, pass it along to hopefully the city to allow us to kind of focus our energies on some new projects. Another project, go back and forth, you want to talk about the food drive?
Sure. So this year, I know that this has been touched on in one of our committee meetings in the past, but it was a brief overview of what we were doing. So along with Foundations for a Living and Living the Wompacca Way, and one of the new subcommittees that we created, the Waupaca County Hunger Network, we hosted a holiday food drive. So Foundations for a Living had applied for a grant and procured money for turkeys over the Thanksgiving season. So we were able to promote this food drive here in the courthouse building and also a few other partners across Waupaca and the county, I should say, to encourage individuals to donate to this holiday food drive. And we were putting together bundles. So there was specific things that we were asking for, green bean stuffing, gravy, cream of mushroom soup, so they could have this holiday meal. We were able to receive enough donations that we were able to give out 101 food bundles to families across the county. And we asked for nominations through different partners that we work with in Foodwise and also through Living the Wompacca Way, and Foundations for Living has connections as well. And so 101 families or individuals received these holiday food bundles. This was something really special to be a part of. It felt very heartwarming to feel all of the donations coming in, and then also to be able to be handing these bundles out. We did send them home with the partner that nominated them, and we received feedback that the families and individuals were very appreciative and thrilled that they were going to have this nice holiday meal for Thanksgiving. So we had a lot of partners and a lot of hands in that as well, and we feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, and that was a really good opportunity for us to build relationships with other county partners, such as partners within this building, within public health, within behavioral health, because they were the ones nominating their families. So it was really nice for them to come down into our office to see us. We handed them the bag, we assembled everything here. So it was just really nice for them to and now since then, we've had a lot of individuals reach out to us because they've learned a little bit more about Foodwise and the coalition. So they've reached out to us because they have a family in Marion who's looking for a food pantry, or, it was a really great opportunity for individuals to learn more about what we have to offer, which was really, really great.
Less than a week after we distributed these bundles, we were getting questions. Oh, you're doing this again for Christmas? And Christy and I all like, we would love to, but there's a lot of hard work and behind the scenes that went into it. And we are really looking forward to, you know, hopefully increasing the number
Yeah, one
next
of the
year and
things I
being
like-
able to do this again.
One of the things I like the most about that project was that, anyone, like the family didn't have to come and ask for it, other
Yes.
people could nominate.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and there was no requirement or eligibility. That was something that Foundations for Living, who procured the money for the turkeys, felt very strongly about, that we want to meet the people who may be falling between the cracks, who maybe make a little bit too much money to visit the food pantry or to participate in food share, but they're barely making ends meet. So there was no eligibility, we didn't know the stories, but you know, chances are everyone who received it really needed it and may not have had a Thanksgiving dinner otherwise, or a turkey and, you know, some of the other fixings. So it was really nice. And kind of touching on then, Haley had mentioned the Hunger Network. So over the course of the last 2 years with the pandemic and everything being flipped upside down for us, we really started to hear more and more and more about the disparities that have been heightened in our communities in order to procure the resources that are available to families. You know, life is hard to begin with, but then throw a global pandemic on top of it, and it makes it really, really challenging, especially for families who don't have transportation, who don't have money for food. Things have gotten really hard. So Haley and I and a colleague of ours in Blue Eyes, Hannah, we gathered a group of contacts throughout the county and started a network that we meet virtually once a month. We're calling ourselves the Waupaca County Hunger Network. And we're bringing people together to share resources so that we can spread, you know, the things that we have available as wide as we possibly can. It's largely a networking opportunity, but that's where this food drive came from. We wouldn't have known about the turkeys had we not had Foundations for Living at the table. So it's anyone is welcome, and we're always kind of bringing everyone. I mean, Sandy has joined, you know, Penny has joined, really just to share what we have available. We have a lot of public health and CAP services, a few new positions in the county, in behavioral health and
Somebody from Feeding America.
Yeah, the food pantries. So we have a very wide range of people coming together, and it is very humbling to continually see more and more people show up because we know that they're getting something out of this. We've had the food pantry say, gosh, we have less people coming through our doors because there's more money available for food right now. And we have our shelves are overflowing and the food isn't stopping. You know, we can't turn food away. And Foundations for Living also saying our shelves are empty. We need food for our families. And so Foundations for Living has been receiving food from the food pantry. And that was a connection made through this network. So those are just examples. There's a group in Manawa who kind of gleans food from other areas, and or they'll go and pick up food from Quick Trip, and they make meals and then they freeze them. And then once a month they come and pick up these frozen meals. They had so many meals and not enough bodies. So we're not only sharing with everyone, hey, tell your families, go to Manawa, pick up these frozen meals on this day, but also they're bringing their frozen meals to the pantry, bringing their frozen meals to Foundations for Living. So it's been a really great opportunity, and it's really just everybody share what you've got going on. We're going to spread it as far as and wide as we can. So that was something that came out of positively, I think, out of the last 2 years. And I won't go over everything else, but as you can see, we've been really busy and able to still do a lot over the last few years. The other subcommittee that we established is the Waupaca County Community Garden Committee. We do, Living the Waupaca Way does sponsor or host a community garden across the street from Theta Care. It's been in operation under our umbrella for the last 3 years, and we've procured funding to have a garden manager who can oversee the garden. And we're taking this upcoming season to really redevelop the way that we're growing the garden. Last year, the weeds kind of got away from us. So this network, we've brought in master gardeners. They're coming to our meetings once a month now because we're not garden experts, but we know that we have people in our community who are. So we're bringing them to the table. We are going to plant the garden in a way that is more manageable. So that's where master gardeners comes in. And then we're really gonna try to broaden our reach of where produce is going right now. It goes to the Waupaca Area Community Pantry, to the Senior Center, to the Bread Basket, to Foundations for Living. It's brought up to WIC, but we know that there's other places that it can be delivered to. And the other awesome thing about this committee is that we're teaming up with the Chain Exploration Center also has a community garden. And so we want to work together, not kind of against each other or siloed. We want to work together to make sure that we're reaching as many people as possible. Is there anything else you want to touch on, Julie?
I'll just put a plug out there if any of you enjoy gardening or know anybody who enjoys gardening, that we're always looking for volunteers or individuals to join that committee. Any green thumbs in the group?
Really incredible things have come from this committee, and like I said, it's largely part of our role is to sit on this coalition and establish these subcommittees, and sustainability is a large part of it. But you know, we play a role until we find others who can continue seeing it through.
That plot of land that you have across from the theater care out there, is that a large piece of property for the garden? The only reason I'm asking is there's different areas where people will rent out land, and then different groups will raise something and then they'll take it to farm markets and they'll sell it. And all of a sudden, one week they have an overabundance of produce, and I don't know if you've contacted them that they could possibly give you tomatoes or beans or something like that before it's spoiled, before their next sale, that you could possibly get something from them that way.
It's a great idea. The plot of land is probably half acre to an acre.
Including the sheds and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
not,
thought maybe it's something that, I don't know if you use the entire parcel or if it's something that you can even rent out a section to somebody that's looking to have their own garden. A lot of people don't have the space either at their property or they're just looking for a larger garden.
right.
Some people just enjoy gardening.
Yeah, those are ideas that the committee has been considering. We've also thought about, you know, engaging the different partners that we do distribute to maybe have a plot, for example, Foundations for Living, have a plot at our garden and, you know, have individuals who are utilizing the shelter or utilizing their services to come over and garden, and whatever you're raising, you can take home. Those ideas have come across the table, and that's something that, you know, we haven't made any official decisions, but that's a great idea.
Also, you were talking about the farmer's market and having a match for the vegetables and everything. And that's something that I was gonna ask about is how many people that you have in the WIC program or the SNAP program that participate in this, because I do a lot of my own cooking, and to try and buy fresh vegetables a lot of time, they're extremely high. So to try and use these dollars when somebody can go to the frozen food case and buy some frozen ravioli and dump a jar of sauce over top of it, and they can have a quick meal versus making some broccoli or having some fresh bananas or something like that. They'll spend 3 times as much on it. So do you have a lot of individuals participating in your program? I guess I'm just asking if you have some type of percentage of people that participate in it.
We could collect the exact numbers of individuals who utilize that service this past summer, but nearly $2,000 was swiped at the market for those items.
Just
Through food share. We could get the individual WIC numbers as well. But yeah, I hear you, and that's a lot of things. A lot of the conversation is based on, you know, fresh produce is expensive. Fortunately, the farmers market tends to be a little bit more reasonable than going and getting them at the grocery store. So that's part of the conversation as well. And then in addition to, if you slide your card for $10, you will receive $10 for free. So that's another really big incentive that we are promoting as well.
we We do also know with WIC, they have the numbers, but it's not just Waupaca County necessarily, because the awesome thing about the WIC program is that you can go anywhere in the state as a WIC participant and spend your farmer's market dollars. So there's additional funds that families can receive. There's the funds that they get on a month or a regular basis as they're participating that they can go and spend at the grocery store or anywhere that accepts WIC. Then June through September or October, they receive additional funds that are only good to spend at the farmer's market. So they may as well go, because that doesn't take away what's being given to spend at the grocery store. That's in addition to. And the number that they're receiving has increased every single summer since I've pretty much been in my role. So this past year, it was
$35 for qualifying individual.
Yeah.
And that had a lot to do with the pandemic, but it was very significant. So that was something, excuse me, that I was also asking, if they were willing to share, if they were receiving those farm market checks. And, 35 times maybe 4 individuals in your family, that's a lot of money to spend at the farmer's market. I personally don't even know what I do with all that money. You can go there multiple times, of course, but we also then talk about if you're buying in bulk, then how to preserve it, how to freeze it to utilize throughout the rest of the year.
and I think to your point about you can go buy ravioli or a burger from McDonald's, or you can go to the farmer's market. You couldn't go spend $1 at McDonald's with your food share dollars. I should just say that. But there is significant time and energy being put into these programs, food share and WIC, that we're not just trying to put food in families' mouths. We're trying to give them nutritious food that's going to feed their bodies and brains, and help them to not risk or not get diabetes or heart disease, diseases that could be potentially altered based on diet and physical activity. So that's where the FoodWise program does come in, as we are the educational component to the food share program. So we're providing that education to help them understand that you could go purchase some of these other items, but we also want to make sure that we're buying foods that are nourishing our bodies. The Thrifty food plan is the guidelines for the supplemental nutrition assistance program that is reviewed every 5 years, and it is under review right now and is going to be changing to narrow what families can spend. So it goes by percentages, so families will be able, depending on how many people are in their household, it will allow them to have percentages of that total. So let's say they have $400, maybe 50% of those funds have to go towards fruits and vegetables of all varieties, fresh, frozen, canned. Maybe I'm making up these percentages because I don't recall what they are. There's a small percentage, maybe 7% or a very small percentage that can be what we call sometimes foods. Some of those items, not cigarettes, not alcohol, but cookies, because we all are deserving of having, if that's kind of what gives us a little joy sometimes, is having a soda or having a cookie, for goodness sakes, we deserve that too, or all families deserve that too. But we're limiting the amount, so they can't go and spend all of their $400 on those items. And it's up to them if they're going to use all of the percentages within, but it goes through all 5 food groups, and there's percentages of dollars assigned based on what the dietary guidelines have indicated that our bodies need. So that's a very positive plan change in this plan. So yes, still, there's some choices that families get to make, but we're trying to help them. Like our motto is to help make the healthy choice the easy choice. So to understand that we're not, it shouldn't be as hard to make those healthy choices, and that more dollars, are going to go towards allowing them to make those good choices. So it's an exciting change coming
Good
to us.
explanation. Thank you for your question.
Good work. I just wanted to add to that, like, I think you're not just telling them what to eat, but also how to do it. Like, that's why you do your demos, because a lot of times, like, maybe they've done frozen foods their whole life, but they're showing them, they're giving them skills. So they can, it's not just like, it's being skills to know how to cook and carry that on and show their kids how to cook.
Right,
Yeah.
the exposure, right?
Yeah, thanks for adding that, Sandy.
All right, Bob, I think we,
Okay,
yeah,
is there anything else from you two ladies? I'm gonna be called,
Yeah.
okay, having gone through this in kind of reverse order, is there anything else, Chris, that we need to discuss?
Maybe update.
I think we're good. The one thing I would like to discuss, and I think this is a transition to the bottom agenda item. Based on our tentative schedule that we had reviewed, February was a month where we had traditionally taken a month off. In light of the conversation regarding to our move, our potential move or relocation of offices, would this group entertain meeting in February to allow me to keep you up to date and gather input as we need for decision making moving forward, or would you prefer to meet in the established schedule of March?
Do you want to call that as a special meeting, since you're not aware yet if they're gonna have that public meeting in January, or if they're gonna move that to February?
I guess we could, that's correct, we could do that, Bernie.
Because I think you said that they have it scheduled, but you weren't sure if they were gonna have the
Correct.
stuff on the public agenda or public property meeting.
Yep, okay,
So-
that's a good point, and we can, I can discuss that with Bob. So based on that, the next scheduled meeting would be March 28th, but please keep maybe penciled in that there could be
28th.
February 28th. We may call a special meeting to provide you with the updated information. So that's a good point. Thank you, Bernie.
Okay. Are we down to the end? I think we are.
Yes.
Okay, great. Haley and Christy, I'm gonna be calling you in a couple minutes. You guys are gonna still be there, right? At the
Yes.
county building?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Good. Okay. I think we're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.